Hello, you're watching TelecomTV. My name's Martyn Warwick. I'm here at Intune Networks in Dublin, and I'm talking with John Dunne, who is the CTO. John, it's well over a year now since I was last here, and at that time you were very heavily into some R&D. Since then, of course, you have product out there. What is it? Tell us about it.
Well, we have a product, the IVX 8000, which is a distributed switch. And we've actually deployed our first example of this technology now in North America, and it's interconnecting to data centres. And we've just got NEBS qualification as well, and the product is now generally available.
John, tell us about software-defined networks, SDN. What are they and why are they important?
Well, as the amount of data that people are using is constantly increasing every year, the size of the data centres has grown and grown. And with that, the networks inside the data centres had to grow. And of course, the largest networks in the world were in telecoms. So the idea was to bring telecoms network technology, like the internet, inside the data centre. But what they discovered was that it was very complex to control. And so SDN is software-defined networking. It's a means to control complex switches and try and simplify it so that the IT infrastructure can change or alter based on results that are happening inside the data centre.
And what about the benefits? What do they bring?
Well, the networks and the internet, for example, are incredibly complex. And this means that consumers and users are generally not given any control over those networks. That control is left to the experts. However, with SDN, you can rapidly prototype and build new ideas, applications and products and allow it to adapt and adjust the network. And therefore, you end up with a much more efficient and higher performance infrastructure between your applications. And of course, as a consumer, that means that the applications work better.
Are you saying there's a coming together here of the ICT industry and the telecoms industry in a way that hasn't been achievable before?
Yeah, absolutely. The data centres are really becoming the dominant thing that people want to connect into to access their data. And the networks themselves are ceasing to be, independent entities. And it's bringing those two worlds together will mean that designs are going to appear that use both complementary ways. And therefore, obviously, the performance from an end-user perspective, end-to-end, will start to improve.
The buzzwords of 2013 are big data. Data centres are getting bigger and bigger, more and more complex and more expensive, and there's pressure on organisations to lower CapEx and OpEx. How will big data be enabled under those sort of constraints?
Well, big data is happening. I mean, not many people realise that every mobile base station, there's a data centre sitting there collecting your data and analysing it. The difficulty with using big data is the length of time between when you gather the data and when you can actually use it. And this gets worse when you think about distribution. People are distributed, they work in distributed locations, they move around. You need to be able to collect their data and in real time process it. And therefore, the difficulty in housing all this data in one central location is getting in and out of it. And so the trend is now moving towards distributing functions. And by distributing these analytical functions, real-time use of big data can then be applied. And of course, this will have implications for advertising revenue. It will have implications for delivering services to me on time when I actually want to use them.
So how do you actually get the data centre into the telco space?
Well, this is exactly where our product is aimed. We've spent many years developing a new way of building a switch. And in reality, what we've done is distribute that switch over many locations. It's still a single controllable entity. That means that you can simplify the control of these networks. And so something like SDN, partnered with our technology, can start to break through the walls of the data centre and go out into the world where the data is actually being gathered and used.
One of the problems here surely must be the potential culture clash between ICT and the telecoms industry. They're very different animals. How are you going to get them to play together happily?
Well, I think it has to be driven by the business case. From an engineer's perspective, the whole industry is set up in layers. We engineer in layers and services to other layers, whereas the business case has to take the whole picture into account. So, for example, the CIOs of the Fortune 500, they've been cutting costs in every layer possible over the last number of years. The only real way forward for them to reduce costs even further is to outsource completely their server rooms and their IT. That can't be done unless you figure out a way to blend these layers or merge these layers into something simpler and give the control back to these CIOs. So an example would be on a Friday evening, a company wants to do its regular backup. Can they dial up all of the bandwidth and the infrastructure they need on demand just for an hour or so to complete their backup, and then pay only for that hour? And that's a business case. And so I think it's the business cases for premium services that is going to drive this.
Over the years, there's been a lot of talk about scalable bandwidth on demand. It's an old dream. Are you now saying that it's going to happen? And if so, what differences are ensuring that will take place?
The internet obviously is a blocking architecture. Fundamentally, it's been designed like that. Packets get dropped. Things are best efforts at most. The issue of quality of service and being able to deliver quality of service is creeping into networks through the video on demand type applications. And now people are saying, oh, hold on a minute, can we use this new technology that's been created to not drop packets and create premium services? And so starting with things like SDN inside the data center, the quality is starting to be cranked up. More efficient use of networks means that you can do non-blocking behavior. Previously, you couldn't afford to do this because the inefficiencies that existed prevented these systems from behaving correctly.
Let's have a look at the immediate future of Intune. Over the next, let's say, 12 months, where do you think you'll be going? You're going to be selling your product? Will you be doing other things as well?
Well, we want to accelerate the market uptake of the product. And to do that, we're going to have to partner. We're a small startup in Ireland, and technology is a global industry. So we're now forming and building those partnerships with bigger IT players to bring this technology and innovation into market.
Taking things a bit wider now, looking at the future for the industry in general, there's always been a lot of talk about the availability of local, high-quality data services running in parallel with the internet. Is that actually going to happen, or is it a pipe dream?
Well, I always think of the example, I'm sitting in the airport and I need to send an important file, and it could be a large file attached to an email, and there's just no way I can dial up a premium service for myself to get that email out. So, I see the future as being more focused on local, high quality and guaranteed performance networks, and these can coexist with the internet, giving the consumer choice, and they can switch on and pay for those premium services when they need to, or they can use the internet and the best effort traffic for particular applications.
How long and far away do you think that is?
Well, we're starting to see it already. I mean, cable companies today offer premium services on video. The problem there is it's not bi-directional. So I can't connect my laptop into a cable company's architecture and send data up. However, that's changing now. The video on demand is driving these new technologies which guarantee quality. And effectively, the telecoms networks are going to turn into large data centers. I'll be able to connect in anywhere with my laptop and do interactive services. And they're the type of local, high premium services that are going to attract the advertising revenues and get the industry kick-started.
John Dunne, thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.